So we'll just get started and take a moment to find a posture that works for you this evening for meditation. And then you can gently close your eyes if you feel comfortable, or keep them open, maybe gazing downwards if that's your preference. And we'll just transition from outer awareness to inner awareness of our own being from the inside out. And beginning here by feeling the weight of the body as you're sitting here in your meditation posture. You can sit in a way that allows you to be both upright and at the same time relaxed and at ease. And we'll just scan through the body to help bring more awareness to the different parts of the body today. So, beginning with the crown of the head, just noticing the crown of the head. Moving slightly down into the eyes, feeling the eyes. Maybe the moisture inside the eyes. And allow your eyes to be soft and relaxed. As you move down into the nose, see if you can be aware of the nasal passages. And that movement of the breath in and out of the nose. Maybe feeling or sensing the warmth, the warm air with the in-breath, and the cool air with the out-breath. Or rather, the cool air as you're breathing in, and the warm air as you're breathing out. And we'll move into the mouth, becoming aware of the teeth and the tongue relaxed. Maybe the tip of the tongue touching into the roof of the mouth, just to rest there. And then feel the gums, be aware of the gums inside the mouth. And noticing the temperature as well inside the mouth. And then from there, we can move down into the throat. See if you can sense the throat from the inside, the space that's there. Maybe as you swallow, you can notice the saliva moving down the throat. And continuing our journey from the inside, we can feel into the spaciousness around the heart and the chest. And that spaciousness of that whole front torso, maybe sensing it from the inside. As you move down the ribs, into the belly. And you can sense the sensation of breathing here as well as the body, as the belly expands on the in-breath and then relaxes again on the out-breaths. As you move into the back of the torso, see if you can trace the breath up and down the spine for a few rounds of breath. Just imagine that you're taking an elevator up the spine with each in-breath, and then down again with each out-breath. And we'll come around to the front again, just feeling the hands from the inside out now. Noticing the temperature in the hands. And sensing all the muscles, all the bones rather, in the hands. There's so many of them in the hands. So getting a sense for the bones in the hands. And moving up into the wrists. The lower arms. The elbows. And the upper arms. And just for a moment longer, just sensing and feeling the front of the torso and the back of the torso. And then moving our awareness down into the hip area, the big hip bones on each side. Allow those bones to relax down towards the earth. And then feel the pressure of the sit bones, the connection with your seat beneath you. And see if you can allow the sit bones to relax just a bit more. Traveling down into the upper legs. The knees. Lower legs. And down into the feet. Feeling the sensations in the feet and just noticing what sensations you're picking up in the feet at this moment. Maybe there's a tingling or a vibrating, a pressure. Just being aware of that. And the Buddha offered a reflection on the body that just simply helps us see the body, not as a self or an I. So I want to offer this reflection tonight of the 32 parts that make up this body. And I'm sure there's many, many, many more, but these are the ones that the Buddha offered. And from there, then we're going to move into silence. So just keep your awareness in your body as I guide you through these 32 parts. And you might not know exactly where they're all situated, or you might not necessarily get a sense of them, but just sort of stay with the process. Don't strain, just see if you can go on this journey with me inside the body. So we're beginning at the hair of the head. Just noticing the hair on the head. The hair of the whole body. Any parts where you might perceive that there's hair connected to the skin of your body. And then becoming aware of the nails, both in the hands and the feet. Becoming aware of the teeth, the skin of the body. The flesh. Just noticing or sensing the flesh underneath the skin. Sinuses. Bones. Sensing the bones in the body. Bone marrow. The kidneys. The physical heart. The liver. Membranes. Spleen. Being aware of the lungs as you breathe in and out. Bowels. Entrails. Undigested food, or food that is right now being digested. Excrement. Bile. Phlegm. Pus. Blood. Sweat. Fat. Tears. Grease. Spittle. Mucus. Oil of the joints. Urine. Brain. So as we continue this meditation in silence now, see if you can stay very much body focused for the remainder of the meditation, and just maybe reflect on these parts that the body is made of. And maybe sense the aliveness of the body throughout your practice. And anything else in the body that you may notice. Where is your mind in this moment? And as we come to the end of the sitting practice, here's an offering on sharing the blessings of our practice. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest devas and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease, and all harmful states of mind, until I realize Nibbana. In every kind of birth, may I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dhamma. The solitary Buddha is my noble guide. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all these, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. So when I asked, where is your mind? I was including my own mind because my mind skipped the mindful movement. And so we will not be having it this evening. And instead we will move right into a 5-minute break. And then Z, as the technical support of the evening, will post a link that will help us all access the sutta that we will be reading tonight online, the first sermon that the Buddha ever spoke to his 5 spiritual friends after his enlightenment. So we will be back around.
Do we need to take a break?
Yeah, I would like to take a break. So I would like to take a 5-minute break and come back at 17 after. Is that correct? I don't know.
Good enough.
Yeah. Thank you. That's great.
I can't move mine. It's frozen in this one position. I can't scroll.
I think Z can only be the one to scroll.
Okay. Okay. Fine with me.
Yeah, I think that's there's a reason that you can't. I think only
Okay.
only you can do that. Can you see it though? Okay.
Yeah, I can see fine.
Great. Yeah, I can see fine too. It's great. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I can see them moving it, so it's all gonna be okay, I suppose. Are you familiar with Thanissaro Bhikkhu, Linda? Who's
I am
up in,
not. I am not. No.
he's an American monk up in Valley Center. He has a Theravadan monastery there for men. And, he's done a lot of translation, actually. So,
Oh,
and he's done some really nice. He does a really nice guidance on the breath. He has a very creative way of guiding you with the breath in all kinds of ways that I'd never even heard about before. Really, he has little books that he publishes about it.
interesting.
Yeah.
And they're all free.
Oh,
Can you access them online actually, or how?
I don't know. I used to get them in softback, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe now they're available online. It's been a while since I.
your audio is a little strange to me, Z.
Yeah, I tried to fix that.
Yeah, your audio is really, there's a whole lot of noise.
No. Okay, there, it stopped.
Good. Good now.
And then I cannot see on my end now if everybody is back. Are you able to see, Z? Is everyone back?
Yeah, if you go to the black bar on the top of the photos, there's a line and then a thicker line and then two lines and then a grid. If you click on the grid, then you can see everyone.
Oh, I cannot hear you basically. You're very you're very like in a remote village, and then every once in a while there's this really loud noise that's coming in. So I didn't understand what you were saying.
I'm gonna send it to you in the chat.
It's okay too, as long as you tell me that.
Everyone's here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You're saying that everyone is there, right? So everyone's here. Okay. I'm not sure that we can have Z read because whenever Z speaks, there's a really loud noise. We can try it, but you might not be one of the readers for that reason tonight, unfortunately. So, but I thought we could take turns, you know, going from paragraph to paragraph, and then if you could just move down, keep track of where we're at so that we could, you know, continue to see the screen. But just wanted to say again that this is the first sermon that the Buddha spoke after his enlightenment on the Four Noble Truths. And it's called the Setting the Wheel of the Dharma in Motion, that I'm sure at least a few of you have heard about. And I thought it would be really nice to read that together, to hear the words of the Buddha after he first enlightened, the first words that he spoke. And Z is saying that the sound system was changed and that there's no more problem. That's really good news. That's great. So, and maybe we can even imagine ourselves in the audience as the Buddha spoke these words, his first words after the enlightenment, after his full awakening. And we'll just take turns reading, and please, if you could just jump in and pick up if when somebody has finished reading a paragraph, and then just take over and read the next one. So I'm going to just read the very short first paragraph and then the second, and then maybe somebody else can pick up from there, reading a paragraph at a time, and then another person can pick up and read the next. Setting the Wheel of Dharma in Motion, translated by Thanissaro Bhikkhu. I have heard that on one occasion the Blessed One was staying at Varanasi in the game refuge of Isipatana. There he addressed the group of 5 monks. There are these 2 extremes that are not to be indulged in by one who has gone forth. Which 2? That which is devoted to sensual pleasure with reference to sensual objects, base, vulgar, common, ignoble, unprofitable, and that which is devoted to self-affliction, painful, ignoble, unprofitable. Avoiding both of these extremes, the middle way realized by the Tathagata, that's the Buddha, producing vision, producing knowledge, leads to calm, to direct knowledge, to self-awakening, to unbinding.
And what is the middle way realized by the Tathagata that producing vision, producing knowledge, leads to calm, to direct knowledge, to self-awakening, to unbinding? Precisely this noble eightfold path: right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. This is the middle way realized by the Tathagata that producing vision, producing knowledge, leads to calm, to direct knowledge, to self-awakening, to unbinding.
Now this, monks, is the noble truth of stress, or dukkha. Birth is stressful, aging is stressful, death is stressful, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, association with the unbeloved is stressful, separation from the loved is stressful, not getting what is wanted is stressful. In short, the 5 clinging aggregates are stressful. And this, monks, is the noble truth of the origination of stress. The craving that makes for further becoming, accompanied by passion and delight, relishing now here and now there. That is, craving for sensual pleasure, craving for becoming, craving for non-becoming.
And this, monks, is the noble truth of the cessation of stress. The remainderless fading and cessation, renunciation, relinquishment, release, and letting go of that very craving. And this, monks, is the noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress. Precisely this noble eightfold path: right view, right resolve, speech, right action, livelihood, right effort, mindfulness, and right concentration.
Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This is the noble truth of stress. Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This noble truth of stress is to be comprehended. Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, Illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This noble truth of stress has been comprehended.
Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This is the noble truth of the origination of stress. This noble truth of the origination of stress is to be abandoned. This noble truth of the origination, I should perhaps be repeating the other part, but this noble truth of the origination of stress has been abandoned.
Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to things never heard before. This is the noble truth of the cessation of stress. This noble truth of the cessation of stress is to be directly experienced. This noble truth of the cessation of stress has been directly experienced.
Vision arose, insight arose, discernment arose, knowledge arose, illumination arose within me with regard to never heard before. This is the noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress. This noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress is to be developed. The noble truth of the way of practice leading to the cessation of stress has been developed.
And monks, as long as this, my 3-round 12 permutation knowledge and vision concerning these 4 noble truths as they have come to be was not pure, I did not claim to have directly awakened to the right awakening, unexcelled in the cosmos with its deities, Maras and Brahmas, with its contemplatives and Brahmins, its royalty and common folk. But as soon as this, my 3-round 12 permutation knowledge and vision concerning these 4 noble truths as they have come to be was truly pure, then I did claim to have directly awakened to the right self-awakening, unexcelled in the cosmos with its deities, Maras and Brahmas, with its contemplatives and Brahmins, its royalty and common folk. Knowledge and vision arose in me. Unprovoked is my release. This is the last birth. Now there is now no further becoming.
And that is what the Blessed One said. Gratified, the group of 5 monks delighted at his words. And while this explanation was being given, there arose to Venerable Khandana the dustless, stainless Dhamma eye. Whatever is subject to origination is all subject to cessation. And when the Blessed One had set the wheel of Dhamma in motion, the earth devas cried out, "Ah, Varanasi!" In the game refuge at Ispatana, the Blessed One has set in motion the unexcelled wheel of Dhamma that cannot be stopped by Brahman or contemplative, Deva, Mara, or God, or anyone in the cosmos. On hearing the earth devas cry, the devas of the 4 kings, heaven took up the cry. The devas of the 33, the Yama devas, the Tusita devas, the Nimaranarati devas, the Paranamita Vasavati devas, the devas of Brahma's retinue took up the cry. At Varanasi, in the game refuge at Ispatana, the Blessed One has set in motion the unexcelled wheel of Dhamma that cannot be stopped by Brahman or contemplative, Deva, Mara, God, or anyone at all in the cosmos.
So in that moment, that instant, the cry shot right up to the Brahma worlds. And this 10,000-fold cosmos shivered and quivered and quaked, while a great measureless radiance appeared in the cosmos, surpassing the effulgence of the divas. Then the Blessed One exclaimed, "So you really know, Kondanya, so you really know." And that is how Venerable Kondanya acquired the name Anya Kondanya, Kondanya who knows.
Thank you. So perhaps we can stop the screen sharing and come back to see our beautiful faces. And just wondering if you have any comments initially about having, about the sutta that we just read together. We can have more of a freestyle in the beginning. Just maybe, is there any questions that you have or anything you would like to say about reading the sutta, about what it maybe evoked in you or what you felt or sensed or thought while we were reading it? Any comments at all?
I want to say something just came to mind. Seems a little silly, but I think about people who write personal ads looking for lovers, and they tend to say that what they're looking for is everything that isn't what their last partner was, like, or their last few partners that were a disaster, and they say, I want not that. And the very beginning of the sutta seems like that. Like, by way of background, for those who don't know, I think all of us do, that, the Buddha spent a lot of time indulging in lust and pleasure, all of those kinds of extreme, in that he spent time as an ascetic, in the self, not just denying pleasure, but like, self-flagellation and starvation and all that stuff at that end of the extreme. So it's funny to me that the first thing he says to his 5 friends that he meets on the path after he finds the right way is, don't do that and don't do that. Like, just, it's the middle way. It just, there's so much that he learned, but it just struck me as funny that the first thing he's like, just learn from my mistakes. It's not this extreme and it's not this extreme. It's right in the middle, guys. So I thought that was interesting.
That impressed me too. I thought I was reminded of the time when Buddha lived, when he was expressing these ideas. It was a time when there were enormous extremes and disparities in wealth. There were Brahmins and there were untouchables, and there were wise men, and there were all kinds of people all around saying what was right, pointing, saying my way is the right way and not the other way. And so in the sutta, when it says, so Buddha said, don't get hung up in extremes. Everyone was amazed. We were all astonished. No one had ever heard anything like that said before, because which at the surface seems kind of silly. Well, what do you mean? Isn't that kind of common knowledge? Try to be moderate in all things. But in his day, it was not common knowledge. It was people enjoyed extreme, extravagant wealth, and they, you know, and we have a lot of that today too, but I think it was even more extreme than the caste system. We have racism, but they had the caste system, racism on steroids. You know,
I think they really still do, Hugh. I think they still practice the caste system in India, for instance. They still do. They're still untouchables.
yeah.
Miserable life. And I was struck by the amount of poetry that was in there. Some of it was repetitive, yes, and making a point, but there were some beautiful turns of phrase in there, just lovely on the ear. And it made it seem so heartfelt. That's what made it not out of the head, but from the heart. When those poetic turns, I appreciated so much. But I've heard pieces of this before. The Dalai Lama, of course, I was always talking of the middle path. Most Buddhist Rinpoches and teachers are, but this was a lovely way of putting it, and I'm glad to hear this historical contexting that it was a radical statement to say, let's compromise, people. It's so current. I've got to say, it's so current. We seem to have temporarily lost the ability to compromise in our culture. And this would be a great reminder, the middle path, that's where it all is. That's a sweet spot, people. So maybe we can relocate that. I pray for it. I certainly do. I don't know how to end. There, I'm ending.
I really so appreciate the teachings on the middle path, and I really feel like it's so relevant all the time, and it's really just great to reflect on how we might strive for ourselves, within ourselves, for a middle path. And I feel like I'm really constantly learning around that, and there's a balance that I always try to strike, and I'm sort of constantly evaluating, okay, have I veered off too much over this way or too much over that way? And I just want to give an example of how this is relevant to me right now. For example, I was a very, very, very fervent believer in the vaccine. And to the extent that I really didn't want to hear, even, people that are very reasonable, people that are not out there being anti-vax and saying this is just a hoax and this disease doesn't exist. But people that were saying, wait a minute, maybe it is really true that, we're not given all the information, and shouldn't it be that before somebody takes a vaccine, that in a democracy, in a free society, everybody should be told about the possible side effects. And then I was thinking, this is for the benefit of the whole community, and people have to sacrifice. And I do still very much believe in the vaccine, but I feel like there's also a middle ground where, yeah, maybe that is true. Maybe people should be told that, that there can be very heavy side effects, and that in a free society, not living in a totalitarian society, that people should be, informed about everything. But because I noticed at first, I was just like, no, everybody should get the vaccine unless they have a real reason, and, to support the community and the health of the community. But then I also saw, okay, there's some things that I can be more open-minded about, that I can take in, of how this could maybe be handled better. And I feel like that's my wanting to find a balance and come back, to the middle, and not needing to be an extreme. I can keep my heart open to at least listen to different viewpoints and not feel threatened by it. So that is sort of my current example of how it's relevant to me right now, of striving for a middle path. And just curious to hear anybody else, reflections on the sutta, or how they feel it's relevant to their lives right now, the middle path, not going to this extreme or that extreme, but finding balance. Or really anything else of what is your interpretation of the Four Noble Truths, and how are they relevant in your life?
I guess one way I noticed
You know,
that
Sorry, go ahead.
oh, um, I don't know, the only thing I'm thinking of is I tend toward the serious. Like I take things pretty seriously. I can really take things too seriously, I think, sometimes, and including myself. And I think where I find myself, that's one way I notice in my life that I kind of consciously try to let go. And one of the ways I do that is by not identifying so much with either my beliefs or I don't know, just my self-importance or something. I just think of extremes of personality, and I don't know, sometimes it helps to think of those in my life maybe who are too much on the other side, but just to have me swing to the middle. And that's all I had to say.
Z, are you able, out of just from memory, because I always thought that this is so beautiful how it's phrased about, in terms of the Four Noble Truths, that the first noble truth of dukkha has to be understood. Is that correct? Like, is that what are the four? Like, the first noble truth has to be understood, that there's suffering, and then the second noble truth, the first, that there are causes of suffering. Let's see, where does it say it?
So it says it says the first, this is the truth of stress. So that's the first noble truth. And it goes on and talks about birth is stressful, aging is stressful, death is stressful, all these things are stressful. Like basically saying, everything that you encounter that makes us alive is stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that's the first. And then he talks about, here's the noble truth of the origination of stress, the craving that makes for further becoming, the craving for sense pleasure, the craving for non-becoming. So there he talks about the second noble truth. And then he talks about the third noble truth, the cessation of dukkha, the remainderless fading and cessation, renunciation, blah, 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 letting go of craving. And then the fourth noble truth is the Eightfold Path. So
Mhm.
this is where this is where he first talks about the Four Noble Truths, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, says it so clearly.
Mm-hmm. 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 I think that this part up here in right now, that the first paragraph that we see here is just so powerful to take in about dukkha, where it says birth is stressful, or birth is suffering, aging is suffering, death is suffering, sorrow is suffering, lamentation is suffering, pain is suffering, distress is suffering, despair, association with the unbeloved is suffering, separation from the loved ones is suffering, not getting what is wanted is suffering. In short, basically everything is everything that we encounter in what the Buddha called the Saha world, basically the world or the realm, the human realm that we live in, is suffering. So that's quite a bit to take in. I'm wondering if anyone has a comment about that, or had they taken that in this way, that just how much it is highlighted of what everything that falls under stress or suffering. It's quite a bit to take in.
Well, there's suffering, but there's also learning from that, through that, raising of the practice, the slow, incremental acquiring of the skill to rise or to go through it, I guess I should say, and not to get bogged down and think, oh, I'm going to die. This is it. Well, so are we all, I mean, we can learn to jump over and have a look from the other side real quick, and then jump back into our actual life and say, okay, middle path. Okay. We're a culture of extremes, of drama, of chaos. We thrive on all of this. So to separate out from it's quite the challenge. And maybe we're not meant to separate out so much as, I want to say, like Ram Dass, surf through life, just surf through it. It's there, but if we can just be on our path, surf along and say, I'm doing my practice where I go, wonder how this is going to turn out, and just kind of keep that. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look good, but hey, you never know. I mean, literally anything can happen. So I'm just, I'm going to try to keep surfing through best I can. But I appreciate the acknowledgement that this sutra provides, that it is suffering, that it is hard, that there's a lot of pain there. And of course, our own personal pain that interacts with this and, constellates it out, makes it more too. So it's a reminder that we're doing big work and worthy work, and hopefully leading to the upliftment of all beings, if we can, that our work is in service to all beings. So it's a beautiful reminder of all of that for me, I think.
He says that all of that is suffering, but the cessation of clinging or rejecting all of that leads to the cessation of suffering, leads to emancipation from suffering, or to liberation, and and how does it do that? By expanding the frame of reference of what it's no longer a world of I like this, I don't like that. It's
into this. And in this moment, feeling the aliveness again in the body from the inside out. And just maybe an inspiration for your own personal sitting practice to, as best as you can, to always allow the mind to accompany the body, to be present with the body, so that the mind never strains too far away from the body in your own personal sitting practice. To allow them to keep company with one another as best as possible in your own practice time. And we just take a moment to sense into the group, into the people that make up this group for a moment with a sense of appreciation. And maybe also take a moment to bring to mind something or someone that you are grateful for in this moment. And then you can silently say to yourself, thank you to this being, to this thing, thank you. And allow this feeling of gratitude to deepen a little bit. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be protected from inner and outer harm. May all beings live with ease. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for joining
everyone.
tonight, and thank you for all your very, very valuable comments and feedback, and for the presence of your spirit, as Linda would say. Thank you.
I also wanted to say, Denise, I appreciate you coming for the first half. Even though you were unable to stay for council, it's
Yeah.
still meaningful to have you for the first half. I really appreciate you coming.
Thank
I
you. And
agree.
Yes, I agree too. I'm always happy to see Denise.
Yeah.
So always
Yeah.
happy
happy to be here.
all of
Thank you.
us, but thank you. Yes. And thank you for explaining too of why you often are not able to join council. You definitely didn't have to do that, but it's really helpful just to know. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Yeah.
I mean, I know, but the rest of the group didn't know. So
Yeah.
that's nice. Now everybody knows.
I'm sorry if it was off-putting in the past. I didn't like. There was never an appropriate place to announce, and so.
I just assumed that was the case.
Yeah,
I
I should have told
Yeah.
everyone because, yeah, sorry.
No, I think we're fine.
No. I think it's not off-putting. What it teaches me, like when Linda thought that, people have left the Sangha because of her, it's obviously just a story, and everybody makes up their own stories about why somebody might not be there in the second hour, or why people are leaving, or why people are coming back, or why are they here at all. It's just so interesting to watch all these stories. A good friend of mine says it's great to make up a story as long as you don't believe it, and I think that's that's really. And Cynthia said that, by the way, Linda, and I think
Oh, good. That's her. I thought it was her.
that's very, very valuable. So I think to keep
It
in
is.
mind, wonderful to make up a story, and as long as you don't believe it, I think that's very Buddhist. So that said, thank you so much for joining tonight. And hopefully we'll see you again next Monday. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.